Hello everyone, I'm going to go over the 4.4 to 4.55 quiz review so that if you need, you can get some questions clarified and I can help you with different steps of each problem if you're stuck. So for the first two questions, it says write an equation in standard form that passes through the 2 points. Your answer should only include integers for a, b, and c. So first, what we would need to do for number 1 is find the slope. So let's go ahead and do that. You don't have a lot of room to write, so if you want, you can get out a separate sheet of paper to show your work. So m equals y2 minus y1, so negative 4 minus 4 over x2 minus x1, so 4 minus negative 8, which would be 4 plus 8, and that reduces to negative 8 over 12, which simplifies to negative 2/3. So I'm actually going to put this on a separate slide, and because I don't have a lot of room here. So I'm going to use this as my point and this as the slope. And to put it into standard form, we first have to start off with point slope form. So for 1, you would have, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1 is point slope form. And then our coordinate is for negative 4, and our slope is negative 2/3. So when we plug that in, that would be y plus 4, because the y value is negative, so that would be 2 negatives, which would turn into a positive, equals negative 2/3 times x minus 4. Then we need to put this into slope-intercept form. So we have to get rid of the parentheses by distributing negative 2/3. So y plus 4 equals negative 2/3 x plus 8/3. Leave your fractions as improper, because as you see at the end, we will need to clear the fractions, and it's a lot easier to do when the denominators are the same and they're improper fractions. Then I'm going to subtract 4 over. Now, in order to subtract a fraction with a whole number, we can change the whole number to be an equivalent fraction with the same denominator. So 4 would be 12/3. So I'm going to subtract 12/3, which is the same thing as subtracting 4. But now the fractions are the same. Okay. Then like this. So y equals negative 2/3 x. That would be minus 4/3. Next, we'll put it into standard form by adding the x term over. If it's negative, if it's positive, you'd subtract it. So 2/3 x plus y equals negative 4/3. Next, we cannot have fractions, we can only have integer coefficients. So we would need to multiply by 3 in order to clear the fractions. So your final answer will be 2x plus 3y equals negative 4, because multiplying by 3 will cancel these fractions, will cancel the denominators, and we'll multiply y by 3. So that is the answer to number 1. Okay, number 2, they already give you the slope. So your coordinate is negative 6, negative 10, and your slope is 1/6. So you would plug it into point slope form. Y plus 10 equals 1/6 times x plus 6. Then you would distribute the 1/6. So y plus 10 equals 1/6 x plus 1. Subtract the 10 over. Y equals 1 over 6 x minus 9. Then we need to get the x term over by subtracting it. So I'm going to just draw an arrow. It'll be negative 1/6 x plus y equals negative 9. Now, this is the point we would need to clear the fractions. Our leading coefficient also should be positive. So not just multiplying by 6, but multiplying everything by negative 6. So that would give us just plain old x. So 1x minus 6y equals positive 54 as your final answer. Okay. The next two questions, I'm only going to do number 3 because I'm actually going to go back to the original worksheet because number 4 is just like it. So a horizontal and a vertical line that passes through the given point. So if your coordinate is 5, -3, a horizontal line is the equation y equals whatever the coordinate it passes through. So y equals the y value, -3. And then your x would be x equals 5. So then I'm going to draw an x and y axis. And then if this is y equals -3, that means it's going to pass through -3 on the y-axis. So I draw 3 tick marks, 1, 2, 3, and I'll make this one purple. So there's your horizontal line. It should go more through. Just draw a dot there. And then your vertical line is x equals 5. So we'll draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tick marks on the x-axis, put a point there, and then I'll put this one in green. This would be our vertical line. And notice that the point they intersect at is that point 5, -3. Okay, so number 4 is just like this one. Also here, I'm only going to do number 5. The answer key to number 6 is in Polaris, so if you need to check your answers to 4 and 6, you can do that. So if we plug in this coordinate into x and y, then we can solve for a. So a times x, which is 6, minus 4 times y, which is 1, equals -1. Then we would simplify it. So write 6a minus 4 equals -1. Add the 4 over to get 6a equals 3. Divide by 6 and get a equals 1/2. Then you would put that back into the equation. So 1/2 x minus 4y equals -1. That is an acceptable answer. However, if you want to make it proper, you can multiply everything by 2 to clear the fractions. So x minus 8y equals -2. Okay, I would not take off points if you just left it like this because that's the a that you got when you solved for a, but this is another step you can do to make it proper. Okay, the other number 6 says you can think about this as like 5a, 5b, okay? So this one says to write an equation in standard form that models the possible combinations of bus and subway rides with the same value as the pass. So it says the bus ride costs 75 cents, a subway ride costs $1. The monthly pass can be used for unlimited subway and bus ride costs and costs the same as 36 bus rides and 36 subway rides and plus 36 bus rides. So if you have 0.75x for a bus ride plus 1y for subway equals, you do not know what the total is, but they do tell you that it costs the same as 36 subway rides and 36 bus rides. So that'd be 36, 36. So this is one of the combinations that would work in this situation. So to find C, which is the missing value here, you can plug that in for x and y. So if you do 0.75 times 36 plus 1 times 36, you would get 63. So then the final equation would be 0.75x plus 1y equals 63. For part B, it says graph the equation and explain what the intercepts of the graph mean in this situation. So in order to graph, you would need to find the intercepts. So your x-intercept is by setting y equal to 0, so you would have 0.75x equals 63. And if you divide both sides by the 0.75, that would give you 84. So that means I'm really going to estimate, well, maybe I can go in tens. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So your point is actually right here. So this is number of bus rides. And then for your y-intercept, you would do 1y equals 63. So just y equals 63. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Put a point there. And this is number of subway rides. Okay, so those are your intercepts, and then you can draw a segment that connects them. Now your intercepts would represent the maximum number of one type of ride you can purchase without purchasing any of the other ones. So maximum number of each type of ride without buying any of the other type. So say something along those lines. All right, the back. Number 7. So you will, for this question, be required to put this in a slope-intercept form in order to find the slope, because if it's perpendicular, the slopes have to be opposite reciprocals. Opposite reciprocal slopes. So let's get this into slope-intercept form. So we would subtract the 9x first. You would have negative 6y equals negative 9x plus 4, and then divide everything by negative 6 to get y equals 3/2 x minus 2/3. So the slope of this line is 2/3. 3/2. Therefore, the slope of the perpendicular line would be negative 2/3. So I'm going to make a separate page. And they gave us the coordinate that it passes through is 17, negative 3. And we know that our slope for the perpendicular line is negative 2/3. Now our job is to find the y-intercept so we can put it in the slope-intercept form. So you can either start in slope-intercept form, or you can put it into point-slope form and then convert it. So I'm going to do that. So y plus 3 equals negative 2/3 times x minus 17. So we can distribute the negative 2/3. So we did this like on the first step, or in the first problem. Y plus 3 equals negative 2/3 x plus 34/3 minus 3, which would be 9/3. Y equals negative 2/3 x. That would be plus 25/3, because 34 minus 9 is 25. And that's it. You do not need to put it in standard form. It's just slope-intercept form. That's the equation of the perpendicular line that passes through 17, negative 3, and is perpendicular to the line that they gave us. So you would follow those same steps for number 8. In number 9, it says to determine if the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So I'm not really going to do much of this one. You just need to put each of them into slope-intercept form. So that's something we've been practicing for a lot this year, ever since chapter 2 or 3. And then if you need to. So like for line A and B, you will have to put those into slope-intercept form just to figure out what the slope is. And then this one, you can see that the slope is 3/2. So you don't have to do anything with that one. Okay, for 11 and 12, for the following sequences, A, identify your first term and your common difference. So here, the first term is negative 7, and then D is negative 3. For part B, it says to write the explicit and recursive rule. So I'm going to do the recursive rule first. So it's A sub n equals A sub n minus 1 minus 3. That's all you need for the recursive rule. Oh, I'm sorry. I wrote down 3 and I said 2. Or maybe I did say 2, but I meant 2. Sorry, this should be minus 2. And then the explicit rule is A sub n equals your first term, which is negative 7, plus D, which is negative 2, times n minus 1. Okay? And then for the last step is to find A sub 100. So for part C, you would plug in 100 for n. So negative 7 minus 2 times 100 minus 1 is 99. And remember how we talked about just type that whole thing into your calculator. Don't try to simplify it or do it in parts. If you plug it all into your calculator, you'll get negative 205. Okay, so number 12 is not any harder than that. You can try that one on your own. Number 13 says a local theater has a large auditorium with 22 rows of seats. There are 18 seats in row 1. Okay, so that gives us a sub 1 is 18. And if there are 20 seats in row 2, that means the common difference is 2. And it has 22 rows, so that means the maximum is 22. So n equals 22 is what they want you to find. So let's set up an equation for an arithmetic sequence. So 18 plus 2 times n minus 1, or 22 minus 1. Okay, and if you type that into your calculator, you would get 60 seats. So make sure we put a label, 60 seats. Okay, number 14, there's definitely going to be like this one like this on your quiz. It says the 18th term of a sequence is 94. Remember, you can make that a coordinate, 18, 94. The common difference is 5. Find the first term of the sequence. So remember, you would take your a sub n equals a sub 1 plus d times n minus 1 and plug it in. Plug in your information and solve for a sub 1 because you don't know that yet. So a sub n is 94. Remember, this goes n, a sub n. This is like your x and your y, your input and your output. So our output is 94. First term you don't know yet. Plus your common difference is 5. N is 18 minus 1. So for this, you would simplify this part first. So 5 times 17 would give us 85. Oops, that should be plus 85. Then you would subtract 85 over, and you would get 9 equals a sub 1. And then it says to write the explicit form of the sequence. So a sub n equals 9 plus 5 times n minus 1. That would be your final equation. All right? So if you get finished with these ones, you can go back and do the other ones and check your answers in the Polaris folder where the answer key is. Thank you for watching and have a great day.